Continuing our coverage from CPAC 2020, sitting down with Mr. Maj Toure from Black Guns Matter. How are you, man?
I'm great, Kim. Good to see you.
I heard you absolutely destroyed the ballroom on Friday afternoon here with your.
True.
Yeah?
This is absolutely true. Standing ovation.
That's fantastic.
It's wonderful.
You know, because I got to tell you, I was just talking with somebody. CPAC is a great place, but this is not a Second Amendment specific conference. And so there are a lot of people here for whom the Second Amendment is, they're with us in theory, they're with us in spirit, but this is not one of their big issues.
Yeah.
And so for you to come in there and to talk with folks and for you to get that standard ovation, for them, I gotta think that a lot of people now have a much better understanding of why the Second Amendment matters to them, even if they're not a gun owner.
Because they understand that our fates are intertwined. If you're not a gun owner and you're rural and suburban America, you may kind of like not think about the importance of it in urban America. But again, our fates are intertwined. And you need somebody there to explain that from a perspective very practically, very simply. And I think today that's what happened. I think that even going back, the presentation being about Frederick Douglass, that first slide and me saying, okay, who's this young person? Even on the right, a young picture of Barack Obama. Why don't we know the picture of a young Frederick Douglass who was the most photographed guy of the 19th century?
Yeah.
Why don't we know that? Okay, this is a top tier, conservative that we can use to push back against that argument of, conservatives are racist. Oh, so you think Frederick Douglass is racist? And so, but the energy, and once it's broken down practically, you get that type of response because those light bulbs click, and it's like, oh. And the presentation today was designed to make sure that those light bulbs were clicking within a short period of time, and it went over like gangbusters.
Where do you think we are right now in terms of, nationwide? You've been doing Black Guns Matter for 3 years?
4 years now.
Okay, 4 years.
Yeah.
And you've been making some big inroads. I mean, I got to say, I was out in Richmond, Virginia for the Second Amendment protest, Second Amendment rally, Lobby Day rally, and man, it was so fantastic just to see a cross section of the state of Virginia. Everybody was talking about, oh my God, we're white nationalists, white supremacists. And you get out there and, there are guys from rural Virginia who look just like me. And there are guys from Richmond who look just like you.
Right.
And there are young black women, and there are Asian guys, and there are Hispanics, and it was America.
There was people running around in that rally with Black Guns Matter hoodies on.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that's the thing, the drum that we've been beating for a few years now. It's like, listen, when the information is there, when the liaisons are right, and the translation is practical, and it gets beyond the leftist media attempt to say, oh, Cam got a beard, Cam's definitely in the Klan. It's like, nah, bro. Like when you can get around that in a very simple way, that person never plugs back into that leftist matrix, ever.
Yeah.
And so it's beautiful to see.
This is the thing, because I think anti-gun activists look at this right here.
Yeah.
And they wet themselves.
It gets all the way scared.
Right? Because I'm supposed to be some white rural conservative who doesn't give a damn about what happens in the inner city, and you're supposed to be an urban guy who doesn't give a damn what some bearded white guy in his 40s thinks, right? And yet, what you're able to do, what I'm able to do, what the Second Amendment movement is able to do right now is to just blow up those stereotypes.
Right.
And we talk all the time about self-defense is a human right.
Right.
It's a human right. And I think that while many gun owners, and I'd say maybe even a majority of gun owners are conservative, and maybe that it still skews white, it still skews a little bit older, that doesn't matter. Because if you're focusing on, let's say, the 55 or 60% of gun owners who are white guys over the age of 40, well, you're just completely denying agency to 4 out of 10 gun owners in this country.
Right.
Who does that? Anti-gun activists do that. They don't want to acknowledge.
Here's the caveat to that too. Let's say that 60% of gun owner that fits that demographic happens to be the white dude. That's what we know of.
Yeah, that's true.
Now there's people that have firearms in a manner that, they may have come across it the wrong way.
Right.
I'm gonna be honest about that. But those guys have, because it's mostly guys, those guys have the same thought process of, I'm gonna get this to protect life. Now, philosophically and logically, when we speak to that gun owner, we get that gun owner to be more forthright about it, and even if they still got what they got in the tuck, they're voting differently. They're voting differently because they understand that it's a community.
All right, so to that end, let's talk about Michael Bloomberg for a second.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Bloomberg got a lot of grief for his stop and frisk support and then the comments that he made. But one of the things that I've been trying to, I talked with Benjamin Dixon, who's a podcaster, he's a socialist, Bernie Sanders backer, and he was one of the guys who really brought this audio from Michael Bloomberg to light, right? And so I had him on Cam and Company, we're talking, and one of the questions they asked was, you know, so you're opposed to the stop and frisk policy, but what about the gun laws that were being enforced using stop and frisk? Because, you know, the vast majority of guys in New York City who were arrested for simply possessing a gun without a license, which isn't even a crime in 15 states. It's a misdemeanor in most others. These guys, most of them, young black men, no serious criminal history. They're facing 3.5 years in prison.
Jail.
Right? And a felony on their record for simply having a gun. Now, can we talk about that? And a lot of the folks who are bashing Michael Bloomberg for stop and frisk, they don't want to take that next step. Right? It's, well, if stop and frisk was bad, well, what about the underlying gun laws?
You cannot, the whole purpose of stop and frisk, okay, it's a violation of your Fourth Amendment, my right to privacy and move about peaceably. You can't separate and isolate that from the guys that had the gun for, hey, I live in a rough neighborhood. Those are part and parcel. To say, yeah, this part's wrong, but okay, well, what about after that? It's no different than if there's an illegal search and seizure, and it's proven that this is illegal, anything that you found after that gets thrown out because you did this improperly. It's the same concept. To be able to push, that's one of the beauties of, you know, CPAC today. For them to give us the main stage, they knew what I wasn't gonna be like cookie cutter. They knew that. So for me to be an advocate for, I think that all gun laws are racist, all gun control is racist. For me to say that I want the guy that uses a firearm for the wrong thing, to rob property or harm a person, I absolutely want him to have his day in court, but I want him to get locked under the jail. Those things are not separate either. With all of these great rights come great responsibilities. Those guys that are willing to pretend as if those things aren't part and parcel, they have to take a serious look at themselves and their own contradictions, because that's what it is.
Absolutely. And when you try to have, see, I mean, you're in Philadelphia. You saw the news this week about a safe injection site opening up, right? It's amazing to me that you got people who want to have a safe place to shoot up, but they don't want people to have a safe place to go shoot in Philadelphia, right? It's all about abstinence when it comes to gun ownership. Oh, no, we don't want them to have a way to be a legal gun owner. Oh, no. We don't want them to have a way to legally carry that firearm. Oh, no, it has to all be illegal. And then you look at opioids, you look at the drug overdose deaths in this country, which are skyrocketing, and it's, well, we need to treat this as a disease, and we need to make sure that these people have a safe place where they can be supervised and do this the right way. And it's mind-blowing to me.
So many layers of contradiction in that. First, the racist component. When my uncles and older gentlemen were suffering from the crack epidemic, there was no safe shoot your rock up site. It didn't happen. That's one. So then you tie into, okay, well, why are all white liberals talking this criminal justice reform thing? Okay, I get it. Nonviolent offenses, absolutely, you shouldn't go to jail. However, you guys' intent was to line it up for the opioid epidemic that by and large affects white Americans. So now you want Philly to have this safe injection site after my friends that were selling and went to jail for using and selling crack for however long, they got the scarlet letter of a felony on their jacket forever now. Now you want to make a safe injection site, like pretending like as they walk out of this room that they're not going to be high anymore. You think they're not going to get to the car and drive? And so like you can't pick and choose. I mean, you can, but I can pick and choose and show your contradiction again.
Well, that's the thing, and it goes back to those contradictions, and that's why I think the work that you're doing is so important, because even beyond the gun issue, what you're trying to tell people and get people to see is consistency, right? So fine, you want criminal justice reform, fine, you want these safe injection sites, okay, well, where does that take you? If you're going to be consistent in your ideology, where does that take you when you look at the Second Amendment? On the other hand, you want to ban guns, you want to make it harder for people like Maj and myself to own firearms, okay, well, consistently with your ideology towards guns, where does that take you in these other places? And you might find that you might not like where that takes you, right?
And it's cool if you don't like it. I don't like safe injection sites. I don't want to have to pay. Listen, I smoke cigars, you know. You've had a cigar. I smoke cigars. That is a choice that I'm making. That is a choice that I'm making. I'm not going Cam. You know you got to like pay for my cigars now. So cool. If you want to do that, let's not criminalize the person. Deal with your life.
Right.
These are the choices that you made. Now in turn, for BGM, we've had people go, I want to volunteer to give up $200, and at this juncture, we've raised $280,000. Hey, I want to donate to that voluntarily, not forcing somebody. So now you're forcing the taxpayer to pay for somebody else's habit.
Yep.
There's still potentially going to be a backlog of people coming out and doing the wrong thing as they're high.
Yeah.
You have to be honest and, like you said, intellectually honest about that scenario. Now, keep that same energy when it comes to guns. I want a safe shooting site. I want all over the city. I want safe training sites.
Yes.
If you have an illegal gun, I want you to be able to come here and safely learn how to train and shoot and secure that firearm when you leave it home. We need a safe space for gun owners. And it needs to be all over the country.
Right.
If you're keeping it there, we got to do it here too. I mean, if you want to be intellectually honest.
Exactly. Dude, I'm ready to drive to Philadelphia right now. Let's go see the mayor.
I need to see him.
Let's go.
He's never going to take our call. He's never going to do it.
Listen, Maj, I love getting a chance to hang out with you in person. It's so good talking with you. Thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thank you, my brother.
Maj Toure, Black Guns Matter. How can they find you online?
You guys can stop being cheap and go donate. This isn't socialist America. This stuff costs money. Donate, pay it forward. GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter.
Awesome. We'll talk to you soon.
I'll see you soon.
Maj Toure, join us here from CPAC 2020. Bearing Arms, Camden Company.